I'm not here to teach you Chinese today, but I'm going to walk you through the logic behind how characters are built. Once you get this, just stop looking like a random jokes and start making sense. Chinese characters can be traced back over 3,000 years. Like many Asian scripts, it started out quite pictographic. But what makes Chinese unique is that it never evolved into an alphabet or died out. It is still a visual writing system to this day. This is unparalleled in human history, which means we could still glimpse how Asian people thought just by looking at characters. So, how exactly were they built? There are 4 methods. I will walk through them from simple to complex in a pretty casual, slightly dramatized way, not a rigorous academic account, just to make things easier for you to follow. But please note, the 4 methods roughly developed in parallel and complement each other. Now let's get into it.
It's my first day to invent some characters. Hey, what about just I draw what I see? That's simple, brutal, and effective.
Now we get the sun, that's 日, the tree, that's 木, a person, that's 人, the heart, that's 心, and that's a kneeling person with an oversized head, that's head, 头.
But there are things that can't be drawn. What does foundation look like? What does tip look like? Fine, I will just add a mark to an existing drawing. People will figure it out.
I will add a stroke at the base of the trunk of the tree, that's 本, the root, foundation, and add a stroke at the top of the trunk, that's 末, the end, the tip. And we have a Chinese idiom built on this too, 本末倒置, literally root and the tip reversed, meaning to lose sight of what matters most. You might know it better as putting the cart before the horse. And now I want to represent up and down. Okay, I put a dot above the baseline, that's 上. Put it below, that's 下.
We've already got so many symbols. What if we just combine them? The meaning kernel creates itself. Brilliant.
There are 2 people, one following the other, that's to follow, 从. There is a person leaning against a tree, that's rest, 修. And we put up and down over the heart, that's 忐忑. A heart goes up and down, meaning anxious, unsettled. There's even a famous song of the very name. Yes, the melody does go up and down. Now let's look at a more complex one, a 3-component character. You, the sorrow. We have head and heart. We've seen this too earlier. Add 3, a pictograph of dragon feet. Picture the weight of grief in mourning. Head bowed, heart so heavy that it drags your feet. That's sorrow.
I've run out of characters. New words keep popping up faster than I can invent them. I've got a deadline to meet. So why not just borrow an existing character that sounds similar? When people read it out loud, they will figure it out.
Lai originally depicts wheat, a pictograph. It was later borrowed to mean to come, because the 2 words sounded alike in Ancient Chinese. The downside was that one character could end up with multiple unrelated meanings, causing confusion. Combined with the ever-expanding demand of a growing vocabulary, this gave rise to a smart solution.
Alright, the borrowing trick backfired. So let me think. What if I borrow a character that tells the song, and I add a radical somewhere to show what it means? This should work. Genius. Let me try this out.
Take the phonetic component qing as example. Pair it with different radicals. That's qing, 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 qing. Similar sound, different meaning, just by swapping the radical.
I can do this all day.
Now let's flip it. The same radical, but with different phonetic components. Let's take the radical of xing as example. That's qing, yi, lian, yue. They sound different, but they all relate to feelings and emotions. You may have noticed that some phonetic components are a close match with the final characters. while others don't. Because the phonetic components hints at Asian pronunciation, which has shifted more or less over millennia, so treat it as a guide, not a guarantee. The phonosemantic method turned out to be incredibly efficient. In fact, over 80% of the Chinese characters today are phonosemantic compounds, which means most of the Chinese aren't purely pictographic, but a blend of meaning and sound working together. So that covers our form methods, but before we wrap up, there's one more thing worth mentioning. Some of the characters aren't original forms, they've been simplified. Why? As these methods kept building on each other, some characters became increasingly complex, visually overwhelming, slow to write, hard to memorize. Remember this? And this. These are the traditional forms. They do look pretty intimidating. This dramatically raised the barrier to literacy. By 1950s, China's literacy rate was below 20%. So the newly founded government launched a sweeping simplification reform in 1956. And it became this. Much simpler, right? And the reformers still tried their best to stay true to the original principles. The reform worked remarkably well. Today, literacy stands at over 96%. Yes, the visual link to pictographic origins did fade after simplification, but the underlying logic is still there. The radicals and the phonosemantic structure are largely preserved, and their characters remain untouched. So the characters today still carry a thread connecting us to the Asian people who created them across thousands of years. Hope you enjoyed the video today. See you next time!